and the ice. The Madman. Now, today it's going to be a serious video. I'll always say, put a joke in anything I say, but, and everybody's going to think, well, a serious video, it's got to be about Fukushima. No, it's not about Fukushima. Although, this nuclear thing is part of it. This whole nuclear thing, not since just Fukushima. Now, I was making really horrible videos before Fukushima, and I was talking about how many of these nuclear bombs we misplaced and how many accidents we had already had before Fukushima, because I knew something like that was going to happen. And when I seen that stack blow off Fukushima, I knew things right then were bad. And of course, if you look at the news today, things are getting worse and worse and worse, and it's going to continue to get worse. It's part of the puzzle. But what's more important is the key to the puzzle, is the center of the puzzle. And it is in Iraq. And that's why the United States is going back to Iraq. And hopefully they don't come back in a body sack. Hopefully. It's very beautiful out of here, of course. Very cold. Now, the reason we're going back to Iraq, I gotta sort of use some like biblical analogies here, okay? And if you're not religious, most people aren't, then it's okay. First, you got to know what happened in Iraq. Iraq was Babylon, Samaria, back in the olden days. And you got to look at the significance of that. Because in Babylon, what did they do in Babylon? Now, in your Sunday school bullshit lessons where they lie to you and tell you all these stories that aren't true, and they tell you it's the truth, they'll tell you that in Babylon they had, of course, the Tower of Babel. And in the Tower of Babel, they were going to build it up to the sky, all the way to the moon. Like, those people were stupid. They knew you couldn't do that. You know, the Babel was not a tower to the moon. The Tower of Babel was a place where they were going to do seances and conjure up these spirits that had walked the earth before Noah's flood. They were the fallen angels of Enoch, and they basically ruled the world. They were everywhere. You know, they were the rulers of the world. And I'm thinking they probably had high technology. I mean, they're the ones that gave us the technology we have now. Why wouldn't they have it back then? And probably more so, because humans live to be a lot longer. They live to be, 600, 900 years old. What could you accomplish if you lived to be 500 or 600 years old? Just about everything. Think about it. And if you look at textbooks, and especially biblical books, before the flood, they'll show people walking around with, these skins and these staffs, with long hair, no haircuts. What kind of bullshit is that? These people had high technology, probably better than ours. So after the flood, they had nothing. And they didn't have central heating, they didn't have plumbing, they had nothing. They had barely the clothes on their backs. So they wanted this technology back. And the people that remembered the days, the stories that were passed on back in those days before the flood, they knew they had the high technology. They knew where they got it from. And they knew that the spirits that were destroyed during the flood, not the spirits, but the physical fallen angels that were destroyed during the flood were spirits, and they could never die. They were fallen angels. They were angels. They could never die unless God himself destroyed them. So they knew that they could open this portal, or this hole, through this wall that Yahweh, the Creator God, had built between the spiritual world and the physical world, and breach this wall, bring back these entities here in Babylon, Samaria, Babel. It took a lot of people, a lot of seancing going on. Somebody had to have the key. Somebody had to have the stories to how to do these things. And they did it. They built the building. It's like the UN building in New York. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But that's what this place was for. And when they were conjuring up these demons so they could have this technology back, so they could live a better life, or a more happy life, maybe they supposed, that's when Yahweh, the Creator God, came down and confused the languages, so they couldn't continue, but they had already opened the portal. And that's where we get these gods and goddesses that were big in the Middle East and then spread all through the whole earth. ISIS is one of them. And who else is in Babylon right now? ISIS. And who else? Tammuz and Baal, and there's just dozens and dozens and dozens of them names that they started worshiping these creatures, or these spirits. and making human sacrifices to them. That's why we're going back to Babylon. That's where it all started. The first time we went to Iraq, what did we do? Saddam had collected some artifacts from that area, and he was building a museum, and he was calling it the City of Babylon. And it was going to have all these artifacts in it. What did America do? We bombed the shit out of Iraq for no reason. But we didn't touch that little city of Babylon there on the Euphrates River. But we sure the hell, after the bombing was done, we went with 100 trucks. United States Army trucks, some kind of, trucks, and we shipped out a bunch of artifacts, and no one's seen them since. They had some stories about, oh, we took some paintings and we're giving those back. No, man, they took some paintings. You don't need 100 trucks to truck out a bunch of paintings. Something else was taken out of that, and America and these other people wanted it. Now, who's going back? America. Who's America? The head of the United Nations. United Nations building is in New York City. And it's a place of, satanic worship. So they say that America is not in the Bible. They'll tell you that, but it surely is. When Yahweh, the Creator God, says all these armies are going to converge on this area, the armies of all the world. Who is America? America is the armies of all the world. That's who we are. And we're not the good guys in this scenario. We're not the good guys. So don't fool yourself. Everybody thinks God's on their side. Let me tell you something. God's not on anybody's side. Not Yahweh, the Creator God. No sacrifice is required. No death is required. It's all about sacrifice and death. That's the other side. That's a serious video. That's why we're going back to Babylon, Iraq. And we're leaving soon. We already got troops there. We got the big embassy there. It's all set, ready to go. See you in Babylon. Good luck. Duck out.